All right, welcome back to the deep dive.
You know, we've had a pretty wild one today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a YouTube video you sent us.
Okay.
And it is, I don't even know where to start.
Wow.
There's so much in this video.
Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get through all of it.
Lay it on me.
Well, I mean, it's like power of the mind, hidden symbolism, even like questioning some pretty fundamental ideas about the universe and history.
So like alternative perspectives on pretty much everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, some of it is pretty far out there, but I think our goal today is to like really help you navigate this information maze.
Yeah, help extract those core concepts.
Exactly. And, you know, not so much focus on whether we agree or disagree with the video's claims,
Right.
but more like, what are those claims and how are they connected?
What are they even saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that kind of jumps out at me is this emphasis on the power of the mind to shape reality. You know, they're saying we can manifest our desires, heal ourselves, even control our dreams through thought and belief alone.
So they're really leaning into that like mind over matter kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Interesting.
And they use some pretty interesting examples to illustrate this concept.
Okay.
You know, like the power of prayer, for instance.
Yeah, that's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of different spiritual traditions.
Right. And the idea is that by focusing our thoughts and intentions, we can influence outcomes in the physical world.
Like focused intention.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then there's that whole believe that you receive it concept.
Oh, yes.
Which is all about aligning our thoughts with our desired reality.
Manifestation. Visualize it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you truly believe something will happen, it's more likely to manifest.
It's interesting. It's like you're saying that belief itself is a form of energy that can shape reality.
Right, right. And then they bring up this idea of water memory.
Oh, this is a fascinating one.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard about this.
I was like, okay, now we're getting into some pretty out there stuff.
A little bit controversial, perhaps.
Yeah. But it's the idea that water can retain the memory of images or words it's been exposed to even after the original source is gone.
So, like, the water is holding on to that information somehow, even though the thing that gave it that information isn't there anymore.
Exactly, exactly. So it's like a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
You know, this concept of water memory has been explored by some scientists, but it's not really widely accepted
The mainstream.
in the mainstream scientific community.
Yeah.
But the video uses this idea to kind of support this claim that our thoughts, which are essentially vibrations, can impact the physical world around us.
Our thoughts are energy.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, does that mean that like we have to be really careful about what we're thinking?
It does make you wonder.
Yeah.
Moving on to another big theme in the video, we have this this use of symbolism and hidden meanings.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, and it's like everything you know from ancient myths to everyday objects.
He's interpreted symbolically.
They're seeing signs everywhere.
Oh, yeah, everywhere.
Like a secret code.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the interpretations are really interesting.
Okay.
Like they talk about hopscotch.
Hopscotch.
As a representation of spiritual ascension.
I've never thought of hopscotch that way.
It's like, who would have thought?
How does that work?
So they're saying each square in a hopscotch grid represents a different stage of spiritual development.
Okay.
And as you're hopping from square to square, you're symbolically ascending to higher levels of consciousness.
So it's like a physical representation of a spiritual journey.
Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
I like it.
And then there's this whole thing about the Binat symbol.
Yeah, I feel like most people associate that.
Negative connotations.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a good thing.
No, but the video kind of like flips the script.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it argues that the Bamat symbol actually represents the transformation from lower to higher consciousness.
Okay.
From the material world to the spiritual realm.
Okay, so it's not about like good versus evil,
right?
But more about stages of evolution.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And it's all about transcending limitations and embracing a more expansive view of reality.
So like shedding the old self and embracing a new way of being.
Yeah, exactly. And then they also explore this concept of the human body as a microcosm of the universe.
Okay.
Elements, chakras, celestial bodies, it's all represented within us.
That's a really ancient idea that shows up in a lot of different cultures.
Right. And they make some pretty specific connections between different parts of the body and cosmic concepts.
Such as?
So, for instance, they talk about the heart, and they say it's not just a pump.
Oh, I've heard some theories about this.
Oh, yeah.
What do they say?
They're saying it actually functions as like a vortex energy generator.
So the heart is more than just a physical organ pumping blood.
Right, and get this. They say the heart is shaped like
A seven-sided chestahedron.
a chestahedron.
Which is this geometric form that supposedly creates a vortex.
When placed in water.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our hearts are like mini vortexes swirling energy inside of us.
Yeah, that's what they're implying.
Okay.
And they tie this to the idea that the heart is harnessing the Earth's electromagnetic energy to create plasma in our blood.
Wow, that's fascinating. So they're really emphasizing the heart's energetic and spiritual role.
Oh, big time. Big time.
All right. So we've got power of the mind.
Yeah.
We got symbolism. We got the human body as a microcosm. What else is in this video?
Okay, so now we're getting into
some really interesting territory. They start challenging some pretty fundamental ideas about science and history.
stuff that a lot of people probably just take for granted.
Yeah, like stuff we learn in school.
Like what?
That we just kind of accept as truth.
Give me an example.
Okay, so for example, they question the shape of the Earth.
Okay.
And the nature of planets.
Wow, we're going deep here.
Oh yeah, deep down the rabbit hole.
All right, well let's unpack some of these unconventional ideas.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the shape of the Earth.
Okay, hit me with it. Are you ready to dive into the flat Earth theory?
Oh, lay it on me. I'm all ears. Although I have to admit, the idea that the Earth is flat sounds pretty out there.
It is a pretty fringe idea, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
And it goes against what most scientists and astronomers tell us.
Mm-hmm.
But the video uses some specific examples to try and support that viewpoint.
Like what?
Things like the lack of visible stars in photos taken from the moon.
That is interesting. I never thought about that before. You know, if the Earth is a sphere, shouldn't we see stars in the background of those moon landing photos?
Well, that's what the video is arguing.
Okay.
And of course, there are a bunch of scientific explanations for why stars might not be visible in those photos.
Yep.
But the video uses this as evidence to support the idea of a flat Earth that's enclosed by a dome.
Oh, like a firmament.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. So what about planets? What's the alternative take on those?
Well, the video claims that planets aren't actually like spinning balls in space.
Okay.
But instead they're just lights within this firmament.
Mm-hmm.
And it even suggests that there's a connection between Saturn and the concept of time.
Hold on, Saturn.
Time, how so?
Well, the video suggests that Saturn with its rings represents like the constraints of the material world.
Okay.
You know, it's like a symbol of the boundaries and limitations that keep us trapped in a cycle of time.
Okay.
And if you think about it, Saturn's often depicted with a scythe, which is a tool for harvesting.
Right.
And harvesting is all about cycles.
Wow. Never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different way of looking at the planets.
Challenging those conventional interpretations, right?
Yeah.
And the video doesn't stop there. It even reinterprets biblical stories like Noah's Ark.
Okay, what's the take on Noah's Ark? I got to hear this.
Well, instead of seeing it as a literal story about a global flood,
Okay.
the video presents Noah's Ark as this metaphor for spiritual and mental transformation.
Okay.
Think about it. The flood represents like a cleansing, a washing away of the old to make way for the new. And the ark symbolizes a vessel that carries us through this transformative process.
So it's like shedding our old beliefs and limiting patterns to emerge as like a new version of ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. It's about leaving behind the negativity and embracing a higher state of consciousness.
So speaking of reinterpreting stories, what about the video's take on Jesus?
Well, this is a big one. The video claims that Jesus never actually existed as a historical figure.
Whoa, seriously? That's a pretty bold claim.
It is, right. But instead of seeing Jesus as a literal person, they present him as this symbol representing like universal consciousness made human.
So like the divine within all of us. Exactly. It's suggesting that the Son of God is not like a separate being, but rather an aspect of our own nature. And it goes on to interpret the 12 disciples as a metaphor for the 12 zodiac signs and the 4 gospels as representing the 4 aspects of human consciousness: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual.
That's a pretty deep interpretation.
It is.
So we're all capable of achieving Christ consciousness.
That's what the video is saying. It's all about looking beyond the literal narrative and finding deeper meaning within ourselves. And the video even draws parallels between Christianity and ancient Egyptian beliefs, suggesting that they share a common source of wisdom.
Well, that's interesting. What kind of connections does it make?
Well, for instance, it claims that the Egyptian ankh symbolizes the female womb, representing like the portal to the physical world. And they link that to the idea of women as master builders who create the human temple, the body.
Interesting.
It also touches on the concept of the astral plane, which is this non-physical realm of existence.
Yeah, I've heard of the astral plane.
Yeah.
But it's always seemed kind of mysterious to me.
It is a pretty esoteric concept.
Yeah.
The video claims that it's possible to consciously leave our physical bodies and explore other realms of existence on this astral plane.
Wow.
It even links this to lucid dreaming, suggesting that both involve accessing different states of consciousness.
So our dreams could actually be experiences on the astral plane.
That's one interpretation.
Okay.
Now, this video doesn't shy away from controversial topics, even when it comes to something as seemingly ordinary as alcohol.
Wait, alcohol? What does alcohol have to do with any of this?
So this one's a bit out there. The video claims that alcohol is like a demonic potion that weakens our vibrational field.
A demonic potion? That's a bit extreme, don't you think?
It definitely sounds dramatic, right? But remember, the video is all about looking at things from a different perspective.
Right.
It argues that alcohol was developed by alchemists who discovered a way to extract spirits from liquid, suggesting that drinking alcohol is essentially consuming magic potions.
I mean, I guess you could interpret it that way.
Right.
But I'm not so sure I'm ready to give up my Friday night cocktails just yet.
I hear you. I think it's important to take everything with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
But even if we don't buy into the whole demonic potion idea, I think the video does raise some interesting points about the effects of alcohol and how it can alter our consciousness. It's all about being mindful of what we're putting into our bodies and how it might be impacting us on a physical, mental, and even spiritual level.
Good point. Good point. What else did this video cover?
Well, it also gets into some criticisms of modern society, particularly our reliance on technology. It claims that our constant exposure to squares and cubes in our homes, on our devices, is actually limiting our minds.
So you mean like how everything is so structured and geometric these days?
Exactly. The video contrasts this with the architecture of ancient civilizations, which often incorporated more organic shapes and intricate designs. It suggests that our surroundings influence our consciousness, and that being surrounded by these sterile geometric structures might be dulling our senses and creativity.
That's interesting. It's like we're living in these artificial boxes, both literally and figuratively.
Right. And the video goes even further, claiming that our phones are basically prisons, enslaving our minds and keeping us distracted from the present moment.
That's a bit traumatic. I mean, I love my phone.
Sure.
But I can see how it can be a distraction sometimes.
Absolutely. It's all about balance, right? The video is just trying to get us to think critically about how technology is impacting our lives and whether it's truly serving us or just keeping us tethered to a digital reality.
Right. So out of all of this, what was the thing that stood out to you the most?
You know, one of the things that I found most fascinating was this anecdote about how the Allied forces during World War II used astrology to counter Adolf Hitler's strategies.
Wait, what? Astrology in World War II? Tell me more.
So the video claims that there was this secret organization within the British War Office, and they used astrological charting techniques to predict Hitler's moves, which were heavily influenced by his own personal astrologer.
So they were basically fighting astrology with astrology.
It's wild, right? But it highlights the historical significance of astrology and its role in shaping events, even in modern times. Whether or not we believe in its predictive power, it's a fascinating glimpse into the world of espionage and psychological warfare.
That's incredible. What other mind-blowing ideas did they throw at us?
Well, how about this? It claims that the Earth's heart is actually a black sun located at the North Pole.
A black sun? What in the world does that even mean?
Well, it suggests that this black sun is the source of the Earth's electromagnetic energy, which our hearts then harness to create plasma in our blood. It even ties this to the northern lights, suggesting they're like a visible manifestation of the Earth's energy emanating from this central point.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious esoteric territory.
We are. And remember that concept of water memory we talked about earlier?
Yeah, the idea that water can retain memories.
Right. Well, the video takes this concept further and claims that water can actually retain the vibrational imprints of words and images,
Okay.
which we then absorb when we drink it.
Okay.
It even uses this example of a study where water that was exposed to the word schizophrenia formed this pattern resembling a double-faced person when it was frozen.
Kind of unsettling.
Right.
So the quality of our water
Not just its chemical composition.
is important for our well-being.
That's what the video is saying.
Okay.
And they even go on to criticize the practice of adding fluoride to drinking water, claiming it's actually harmful to our health.
That's interesting. I know there's been a lot of debate about fluoride over the years.
There has, and the video's argument is that our bodies only recognize natural substances,
Okay.
and anything artificial, like fluoride, disrupts our natural balance and can lead to all sorts of health problems.
Makes sense. So what else did this video cover?
Well, we talked about the heart as an energy vortex,
Yes.
but the video also makes a pretty surprising claim about wisdom teeth.
Wait, what about wisdom teeth? I thought those were just useless leftovers from evolution.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think.
Right.
But this video argues that wisdom teeth are actually connected to our heart and gut.
Seriously, how so?
They're claiming that removing them severs this connection, potentially hindering our intuition and emotional awareness. They link this to the heart's 40,000 neurons, which are the same type of cells found in the brain.
So it's saying that our wisdom teeth are literally a source of wisdom.
Well, it's more about the symbolic connection between our teeth, our heart, and our gut. It suggests that all parts of our body are interconnected and play a role in our overall well-being. It even connects wisdom teeth to the heart's ability to guide us, suggesting they help us discern right from wrong.
That's fascinating. So what did the video have to say about health and well-being?
Well, it touched on the topic of food and digestion, suggesting that eating when the sun isn't present can disrupt our digestive system.
Interesting. So no late-night snacks.
That's what the video seems to be implying. It argues that the sun powers our digestive processes, and that eating after sunset can lead to digestive issues. It also advises against mixing certain foods, claiming that combining animal flesh with starches like potatoes and bread can lead to constipation and the formation of parasites.
That aligns with some dietary theories that emphasize food combining for optimal digestion.
Yeah, it's a pretty common idea. Did the video touch on meat consumption at all?
Oh yeah, I'm curious about that.
It did, and it took a pretty strong stance, claiming that eating meat is actually a form of witchcraft and that humans are naturally herbivores.
Wow, that's a bold statement. What's the reasoning behind that?
It suggests that eating meat introduces negative energy into our bodies, and that a plant-based diet is more aligned with our natural physiology. It even points out that humans lack the sharp claws and teeth typically associated with carnivorous animals.
That's an interesting point.
It is. So the video seems to be advocating for a vegan lifestyle. It's all about questioning our assumptions about what's natural for humans to eat and exploring alternative dietary choices.
Yeah. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, what did the video have to say about mental health?
Well, it specifically touched on depression, and it had a very interesting take on it.
I'm listening.
It claims that depression doesn't actually exist.
Whoa, hold on. That's a pretty controversial statement, considering how many people struggle with depression.
I know, it's a bold claim, but instead of seeing depression as like a clinical diagnosis, the video suggests that what we call depression is actually just deep rest, a state of inactivity that can lead to mental and emotional stagnation.
So like a period of withdrawal and introspection.
Exactly. And it argues that our purpose is to create and bring thoughts into physical reality. And when we become too passive and withdrawn, it can create a sense of emptiness and despair.
So we should stay active and engaged with life.
Exactly. And it also suggests that we can't fix mental or emotional issues with physical pills because the mind is a spiritual consciousness, not a physical entity. And remember that black sun at the Earth's core.
Oh yeah, the Earth's supposed energy source.
Right. The video claims that a Freemason recently went viral by exposing this black sun, linking it to advanced technology that existed in the past.
Wait, what kind of advanced technology?
Well, the video shows footage of these old videos depicting flying machines with no visible engines or exhaust, suggesting that this technology harnessed the Earth's electromagnetic energy, possibly drawing power from the black sun.
So like ancient civilizations had access to technology that we've lost or forgotten about.
That's the idea. And it contrasts this with our current reliance on fossil fuels, suggesting that we've lost touch with these more sustainable and advanced forms of energy.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
What else stood out to you from this video?
You know, one of the most recurring themes throughout the video is this idea of personal transformation and awakening. It's like it's urging us to break free from the limitations of the material world and tap into our true potential.
That's a powerful message. But how do we actually achieve this awakening?
Well, the video offers some pretty intriguing answers.
Right.
Starting with the idea that awakening involves a shift in consciousness.
Okay.
Like a move away from the dominance of the left hemisphere of the brain, which is associated with logic and analysis, towards the right hemisphere, which is linked to intuition, creativity, and like a more holistic way of thinking.
So it's like tapping into a different way of perceiving and processing information.
Exactly. And get this, the video claims that being forced to write with our right hand as children was a deliberate attempt to suppress our right brain hemisphere and keep us locked in a more limited way of thinking.
Wow, that's an interesting theory. Makes you wonder if some of our societal norms and educational practices might be hindering our full potential.
It does, right. And the video goes on to connect this idea of awakening to the concept of the Kundalini.
Kundalini. I've heard that term before, but I'm not really sure what it means.
So in many spiritual traditions, the Kundalini is often depicted as a serpent coiled at the base of the spine.
Okay.
And it's believed to be a dormant energy that, when awakened, can lead to profound spiritual experiences and transformation.
So how do we awaken this Kundalini energy?
The video suggests that practices like meditation, yoga, and breath work can help to activate it. And as this energy rises through the body, it's said to clear blockages and activate those energy centers, you know, the chakras.
Oh, the chakras.
Right.
Are those connected to the Kundalini?
Yeah, totally. In many systems, there are 7 main chakras located along the spine.
Okay.
Each associated with different aspects of our physical, emotional, and spiritual being.
Right.
And as the Kundalini rises, it's believed to activate each chakra, leading to increased awareness and a deeper connection to our true selves.
So it's a big journey of self-discovery.
Exactly. And the video suggests that this journey ultimately leads to a state of enlightenment or awakening, where we transcend the limitations of the ego and experience a profound sense of unity with all that is.
Wow, that's a powerful image. Now, the video seems to place a lot of emphasis on the heart, not just as a physical organ, but as a source of wisdom and guidance as well.
It definitely emphasizes the heart over the head, suggesting that while the head might be good for logic and reasoning, the heart is where we find our true intuition and moral compass.
So it's like we should trust our gut feelings.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that deeper knowing that comes from the heart, rather than just relying on our rational minds. And remember that chestahedron shape the video talked about?
Oh, yeah.
It claims that the heart is actually shaped like this 7-sided geometric form, which creates a vortex when placed in water.
So it's suggesting that our hearts are literally creating vortexes of energy within our bodies.
That's what they're implying. And they tie this to the idea that the heart is not just a pump, but an electromagnetic generator, harnessing the Earth's energy to create plasma in our blood.
It also claims that the heart has those same neurons found in the brain, right?
Yes, and that supports the idea that the heart has its own intelligence and can communicate with us on a deeper level. You know, the video encourages us to follow our heart, listen to its guidance, because it can lead us to our true path in life.
This is all pretty mind-blowing. It really challenges the conventional view of the heart.
It does. Speaking of mind-blowing, the video also talks about astral projection, which is this idea that it's possible to consciously leave our physical bodies and explore other realms of existence.
Astral projection. That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It does sound pretty out there, but the video links it to the practice of lucid dreaming, suggesting that both involve accessing different states of consciousness beyond our normal waking awareness.
It's like we can travel outside our bodies in our dreams.
That's the idea. And the video claims that dreams aren't just these random firings of neurons, but actual experiences that we have in other dimensions.
Offering us glimpses into the workings of our subconscious mind.
Wow. So we should be paying more attention to our dreams.
That's what the video suggests. It encourages us to really try and interpret the symbolic messages in our dreams, because they can provide valuable insights into our waking lives. Now, the video also reinterprets the ideas of sin and the devil.
Oh, I'm curious to hear about that. What's its take?
Well, it argues that sin is not about breaking rules or committing immoral acts, but rather about harboring negative emotions
Okay.
that block us from reaching our higher potential.
So our internal state rather than our external actions.
Exactly. The video suggests that the 7 deadly sins are actually 7 internal states
Okay.
that lower our vibration and prevent us from experiencing true happiness and fulfillment.
Interesting. So what about the devil? Does it reinterpret that too?
It does. It reinterprets the figure of Satan, not as an external entity,
Okay.
but as an aspect of our own minds, that part of us that's driven by ego, fear, and desire.
So like our shadow self.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it suggests that the battle between good and evil is actually this internal struggle between our higher and lower selves.
Okay.
And that true spiritual growth involves overcoming the temptations of our ego and aligning with our divine nature.
That's a pretty empowering message. Like we have the power to choose our thoughts and actions and create our own destinies.
That's the core message of this whole video.
Yeah.
It's all about taking responsibility for our own spiritual evolution and creating the reality we desire.
Well, this video has certainly given us a lot to think about. What do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is this unwavering insistence on questioning everything. Think critically, challenge assumptions, explore alternative perspectives. Whether we agree with everything in the video or not, it makes us think more deeply, do our own research, and come to our own conclusions.
Absolutely. It's about becoming active seekers of truth, not just passively accepting information. This deep dive has been a fascinating journey into this particular worldview, but it's just a starting point.
And the video leaves us with a powerful question to ponder. If our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality, what kind of reality are we creating?
That's an excellent point to end on. This deep dive has certainly given us plenty to chew on. As always, we encourage you to continue exploring these topics and forming your own conclusions. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.